Hey everyone, this is Richard from NotableReleases.com, and we're going to get into the Indie Weekly of Week 15. That's the top 10 indies that were released between April 7th and April 13th of this year. So without further ado, let's get into it. Bombslinger. Bombslinger is a roguelike in the vein of Binding of Isaac, with Bomberman-style combat and Wild West stylings. At first, the Bomberman combat is a bit more plotting than Isaac's tier shooting, but the clever enemy design keeps you fully engaged. In the first level, there are standard patrolling grunts, as well as rams that charge in a straight line, and shotgun wielders that take cunning to kill. The level format stays true to the Zelda-inspired interconnected rooms of Isaac, requiring you to clear all your foes before you can move forward. You start with the ability to place one bomb at a time with a one-tile range. Very quickly you get exposed to the different vectors for increasing your arsenal. You can use coins from fallen foes in shops, level up by clearing rooms, and unlock treasure chests. These things could increase your stats, which include your bomb capacity and range, or they could grant you one-time use items, or give you new weapons that use your spirit meter. The spirit meter acts as a mana or magic does in most games. This all combines for fun roguelike gameplay where you unearth new knowledge on every run, but what I came away most impressed by was the presentation of Bombslinger. The low poly, low res texture look is used to amazing effect here. And the soundtrack has an incredibly slick rock and blues sound that's generous with the electric guitar. All told, Bombslinger is an incredibly fun roguelite package that'll keep me busy for some time. Dead in Vinland. Dead in Vinland has you managing the survival of a Viking family that has crash landed on a mysterious island. You'll have to build your camp and explore the island to gather resources and find food. In this sense, most of the playtime revolves around managing your small settlement. A complex character sheet for each of the 18 playable family members means that you'll have to do serious micromanaging to make sure you're using your resources carefully for each turn while continuing to keep future turns in mind. Complaints so far seem to center around RNG and bland combat. The combat seems to be a minor part of the gameplay though, and others appear to be drawn in by the characters, colony management, and good-looking visuals. Overall, it's been very well received, and I look forward to seeing how the developers expand this universe. Deployment. Deployment is familiar enough in structure to be inviting, but original enough to encourage this old dog to learn new tricks. It's a multiplayer class-based arena shooter. You choose from Gunner, Pyro, Sniper, Cyclops, and Rocketeer in deathmatch or team deathmatch modes. The trick is, it's all from an isometric perspective. The maps are randomly generated with rooms that are segmented from each other. There's a fog of war blocking your line of sight into every room other than your own. So while you can dash across walls into an adjacent room, your foe may be on the other side waiting to ambush. The movement and shooting all feel very polished, making for fun times with friends. Unfortunately, the only issue is the small player base. This game shines best in team play thanks to the classes, but you'd be hard pressed to find a game with a couple of other players, much less a full party. I'll have to scour the discussion side of Steam to see if people are still grouping up to play this occasionally. Double Kick Heroes. Double Kick Heroes is a shoot 'em up that made me wish I had better rhythm. The gameplay boils down to the same well-timed button presses you'd usually see in a rhythm game, but there are enough touches to make this feel like more than a music game with a shmup skin. Lining up your shot is a challenge in itself. You have to steer your car up and down, and the button presses correspond with weapons that are placed in different locations on the car. There's enough variety in enemy design so far that you have to account for what's happening on the shmup half of the screen while staying on beat. The big selling point for me has been the presentation. In addition to the attractive pixel art, I love the world that's been built around the in-game music. Each track has fun metadata like the song titled "Surprise, You're Undead," with a genre of Mike's Delight Rock. Some of my favorite genre names were Beach Metal, Tenacious Rock, and Y2 Core. El Mobo appears to be the composer of Double Kick's soundtrack, and it sure is excellent. Through my research, I learned he worked on the Nightmare Creatures OST, which was also impressive. Definitely check out Double Kick Heroes for a fun, well-polished experience. It's still in early access, but there's about 4 hours worth of content, and the different difficulty levels will keep you coming back. Downbreak. Downbreak is by far my biggest hidden gem surprise of the week. I like Minesweeper, and I was expecting to enjoy this twist on it, but it really sunk its hooks into me and did not let go. By adding gravity to the mix, it kind of unleashes the ability to plan for and execute combos. Additionally, because the goal is not to clear the board but instead to reach the bottom, it sets up for some score bonuses. Can you reach the bottom in under 15 seconds? Can you avoid bombs altogether? Are you willing to risk your unharmed bonus to flag all the bomb tiles? As if that's not enough, it adds one more twist: the ability to buy spells to help you on your run. At the end of a tower or a group of levels, you're graded on your performance based on all of these metrics, so naturally I spent hours striving for S ranks. I still don't have one, but I promise I will. This robust grading system mixed with a gothic presentation made this a Devil May Cry meets Minesweeper experience for me. And really, what else does one need? Friday the 13th Killer Puzzle. Friday the 13th Killer Puzzle is the latest release from Blue Wizard Digital. They recently released Space Tyrant, but before that was a game very similar to this one, Slayaway Camp. In fact, Killer Puzzle is almost like a content pack to Slayaway Camp. Both are the same type of sliding puzzle game starring a murderous psychopath. You're tasked with navigating the isometric, diorama-like playfield to kill all the civilians while avoiding obstacles like water and fire. The early puzzles are all very straightforward and introduce new mechanics at a swift clip. Despite Slayaway Camp and its protagonist being an homage to the world of Jason, actually having the Friday the 13th property goes a long way for me. It feels a bit superficial to say, but between that and the fact that a large portion of this game is free, I just like the value proposition of this much more. If you're more of a Steven Sausage Roll kind of gamer, then this might be too easy for you, but otherwise it's a neat puzzle game with amazing presentation. Lobotomy Corporation Monster Management Simulation. As the title indicates, Lobotomy Corporation is a management simulation game. The narrative conceit is that you're creating monsters to harvest energy. The monsters you create are born of abnormalities that your company is researching. This game uses the roguelite technique of teaching you very little about each abnormality at the outset, allowing the process of discovering its traits to be part of the challenge. For instance, these traits can affect how likely it is a monster will escape and cause a snowball of disasters, thus requiring you to triage the issues at hand. This game appears to be challenging but is forgiving in some respects. You can pause at any time to plan out your next moves, or you can reset a day to attempt it once more. To that end, it seems like Lobotomy Corporation could be a long-tailed game with plenty of incentive to keep playing as new challenges pop up. SpyParty. As someone who enjoys the multiplayer of Assassin's Creed, SpyParty's central conceit appealed to me immediately. This week I finally got to try the tutorial and one online game, and it did not disappoint. With all the moving parts in SpyParty, I was worried about how long it'd take me to learn the nuances. I knew I wouldn't be good immediately, but I at least wanted to understand what was making others good. The tutorial did a great job of this. Chris Hecker himself narrates it and walks you through the facilities and strategies of both the sniper and the spy. As the spy, you're trying to complete objectives in a time limit without getting caught. Each of the objectives will expose you to some degree. Swapping a statue is particularly risky because the sniper can memorize the statue placement in advance. As a sniper, you're looking for these tails with the ability to low light or highlight guess based on your observations. When you're sure, you can pull the trigger. Getting through the tutorial gave me the false sense of confidence I needed to dive right into online multiplayer. I lost in short order but knew exactly why, and this is SpyParty's biggest boon. It's immediately readable and relays complex information in an understandable fashion, allowing the player to trust the game and eventually their own instincts. I can't wait to dig in and lose some more. Super Daryl Deluxe. What would you say if I told you there was a game with Metroidvania-like progression, a combat editor reminiscent of God Hand, and it was all wrapped in an RPG with a middle America school setting and a healthy helping of the supernatural akin to Earthbound? Well, that's what Super Daryl Deluxe is. You play as Napoleon Dynamite stand-in Daryl. In typical Metroid fashion, you begin kitted out with what I presume are late game skills and are thrown into the middle of a chase to, quote, get your woman back, as Daryl's partner Alan puts it. Once this combat-heavy flash-forward is complete, you're dropped back into what I believe is the beginning of your journey. You now have none of your abilities, and the game transitions into RPG territory, with lots of talking NPCs that give you quests and advice. I'm early yet, but this is my easiest recommendation of the week. The genre mashup may not be for everyone, but it speaks to me personally, and the polish is first class. Tower of Time. Tower of Time is an extremely impressive looking CRPG that came out of early access last week. What has me the most curious about this game is the combat. It's real time, but you can slow or pause time altogether, giving me an isometric Mass Effect vibe. I've seen user reviews that liken the combat to XCOM, so it's evident that the claims of, quote, deep tactical combat are not exaggerated. To boost the combat, the game seems rich with loot and progression mechanics. Tower of Time's description boasts 7 character classes and thousands of pieces of loot and equipment. While I'm always worried about long RPGs overstaying their welcome, the 50 hours in Tower of Time are worthwhile by all accounts, with varied game. This has been the top 10 indies of week 15 in 2018. If you have any suggestions on this top 10, things we missed, things that shouldn't be there, let us know. Comment down below and let us know. Otherwise, if you like what we're doing, please like, please subscribe. We are still building our audience, obviously, so word of mouth is the best way for us to grow. So yeah, just do the things. Okay? Thanks. Bye.